This weekend, a new film drops in theaters about a daughter looking for her missing mother. It is aptly titled Missing, so let's talk about it. If you're unfamiliar with Missing and the basic idea of the film, it's a standalone sequel to 2018's Searching, and the kind of gimmick of these films is that they're told entirely from computer screens, where if you're seeing an actor, it's from a webcam, it's from FaceTime, and you're looking at what they're doing on a computer, what they're searching on a browser. They'll show camera footage from Ring doorbells, and so you're just watching everything from a computer screen, and they're mysteries about people that have gone missing. And while these two movies, Missing and Searching, are set in the same universe, they're entirely standalone stories that you don't need to watch Searching in any way, shape, or form to watch Missing, but there are very small references to Searching in Missing. And I loved Searching from now almost 5 years ago. I went into it like, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sit through a movie that's entirely looking at someone's computer screen. And they just did a fantastic job of finding all sorts of interesting ways to tell a story through media. The way that so much of our lives are through looking at our phone, looking at computer screens, looking at technology, and they use all of that to communicate their story. And because the perspective of what you're seeing is so controlled and limited, they're able to do a bunch of interesting things with the framing of shots, so you notice little details in what they choose to show you, so you remember it later on in what takes place. So I thought Searching was fantastic. And so when I heard they were doing a follow-up of sorts, doing another one of these stories, I was pretty excited to check it out. And so when it comes to the movie Missing, I thought it was a good enough follow-up. And what I mean by that is that when it comes to just their use of telling a story through technology, if anything, they did a slightly better job at that in the first half of this film, where they found all sorts of kind of new uses of technology, apps, websites, modern day online culture to communicate their story, but also for a bunch of these little laughs, where little ways in which we use technology that we've all experienced, little things while typing in searches, autofills, emojis, people's reactions. It uses those things that we all know to get some nice little laughs in an otherwise pretty tense little story. There's a number of very creative transitions in the way that it'll go between a phone call that's on the screen, or someone's watching a TV show in a browser, and then it kind of zooms in on and zooms out, and it just does it in really interesting ways, and it's all seamless. Like, you just absorbed into this computer screen that you're watching in very interesting ways. So it does a great job of continuing to use the tech in an awesome way. Where I think this one falls short of the first film is that the narrative didn't work as well for me. Big part of what I loved about the first film is that it kept me guessing. I was invested in the mystery. The twists, turns, and reveals worked. And by the end of it, I was like, that was really good. Just like this really tightly crafted mystery told in an interesting new way like I've never seen before, and satisfying by the time you got to the end of it. It felt like this one, around the halfway point, it wasn't working as well for me. The first half is just as good as Searching. Certain ways a little bit better than Searching. The back half, some of the twists and turns weren't as satisfying for me. And then when you move into the third act, I felt it got too big. It tried to tell kind of too ambitious of a story. And to continue the gimmick of looking at a screen, they had to strain a little bit of credibility to come up with an excuse as to why we're still looking at like camera footage. And it's like, would someone do that? Do I buy into that entirely? It wasn't quite as strong. And it had me, because I was going, wait a minute, what's going on here? That pulled me out of the experience. The first one, just Searching, had an immersiveness that got lost here because it was straining a bit too much credibility for me. Now, back to some of the positives here. Great cast. A very small cast, but there's like just everyone's doing a solid job. Of course, in the lead is Storm Reid. This is Idris Elba's daughter in The Suicide Squad. She has to carry this movie, essentially. She has very few tools. This is her right here. Like, all you get is her on a webcam or FaceTiming. That's all she gets to carry a film, and she carries the film. So she's going to be around a long time. She's a great talent. And but the real one that like kind of surprised, well, I mean, she carried. So she's, of course, I don't want to say the real talent here. The thing that surprised me, because I didn't know that he was in the movie, was Joaquim de Almeida. He's one of these actors that's been in movies for decades, but he normally plays like the drug dealer. And he's the kingpin. He's the bad guy. And in this one, he gets to play like this more affable, kind of fun character. He gets to show, like, he's not like a comedic character in the sense of being like overtly like telling jokes or being wacky, but because he's kind of like this more carefree kind of person in the situation he's kind of in, he gets to be the lighthearted person in the show, does get some solid laughs. And so it's just great to get to see him in this, but more importantly, it was great to get to see him play such a different role from almost every other character that I've played or seen him play in movies. Literally, for now, we're in the 4th decade I've been watching him in movies, and finally he gets to be the fun character that kind of adds levity into an otherwise pretty tense story. So that was something I really appreciated. And it does, a lot of it works. A lot of the narrative does work with the twists, turns, like sucking into it. And what they're just really good at, like I said at the beginning of this, is using what they're showing you, where they zoom in on the screen, how they kind of crop certain things to get your eyes to focus in on the right detail about something. And that's still true here. And so as you kind of go through it, they introduce little details. So every even character trait, little things about what someone might be carrying, you pay attention to all of it. And if they say something real specific, like remember to do this, don't do this, make sure this is on, you know to pay attention. And you're trying to figure out, how will that tie back in? Will it tie back in? And because of that, when a lot of things feel earned as you go through it, because they're meticulously paying attention to the details. So this one was a little bit frustrating for me because so much of it was so good. So much of it was just as good as Searching, which is a movie that I thought was such a pleasant surprise several years back. But they just did a few things that strained the concept of the story, that it's all on a computer screen. Like, to do this story, what they do in the last third, it felt like it was just going, I'm not sure that fully works, and I'm not sure I buy into where you're going with some of these twists and turns. And so I wasn't bought into the story as well. But I want to tell you that several of my friends, they're giving it like 5 out of 5s. A lot of people are loving this, saying it just as good, maybe better than Searching. So if you liked Searching, I absolutely do recommend giving it another try. And if you haven't seen Searching yet, I'd recommend checking that one out first, because I thought that one was significantly better. But I think this one is a good enough movie that it gets my recommendation. I do recommend checking it out, but it's not as strong as Searching in my opinion. So I think I'd probably give this one a B, is where I'd land on this one. It's good, it's different, it's fresh. It strains a little bit too much on the story as you move into the third act, but it does a lot of things really well, and you got some great performances in there. If you've seen Searching or Missing, let me know what did you think about each of them down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Keep talking movies and TV too much. Bye-bye.